This session today is looking at the song Great Are You Lord, and we're going to show you the quick chords that are used. There's only three for the majority of the song, but I'm also going to work on improvisations, ways to fill out those chords so it sounds more full. I'm assuming at this point that you are playing as a solo keyboardist, that you don't have a full band. You may have a drummer, but I'm assuming it's just you and a drummer at the very most. So there's a lot of fills in here that we can do to make it sound a little richer on your playing. So on the verse and the chorus, there are three chords. For those of you that already know, this will be a quick review. So in the original key of A, we're going to use the 4 chord, which is D, D, F sharp, A. And then we go to F sharp minor, which is spelled F sharp, A, C sharp. And then the third and final chord is E, G sharp, and B. You notice my right hand is playing thumb, third, and fifth finger for all those chords in root position. Okay, so that's it for the verse and the chorus. Those are the only notes you have to play. Left hand, you can do octaves, you can do single notes there, however you like. So we're going to kind of fill this out. It's very simple, and a lot of times keyboardists go, well, what do I do for the rest of it? So let's say you're doing the introduction. I would play the tune. So the tune would be F sharp, G sharp, A, F sharp, G sharp, A, bring life. And so a lot of times for our singers that are working with us in a church setting, kind of pulling out, okay, where are my starting notes, instead of just kind of playing chords randomly and hoping they can find it. This is one way that we as keyboardists can help them. So I suggest starting, this is below the middle of the keyboard where the actual tune begins. And I'm keeping it very simple. That way it's very much focused on the tune because you're getting them started. And then I usually kind of play that E chord. So you can do a little roll of the arpeggio there, and then just kind of pause here. You give life. Okay, so now we're into the verse, and there's a pause. You give life. You are love. So we need to fill that out a little bit. One of the ways you can do this is to create what I call an echo effect. So play the first part. You give life. Take your right hand, you can go up an octave playing those melody notes F sharp, G sharp, A. You may be more comfortable if you have a small hand just doing the simple pitches an octave higher. So you can play a full octave at one time or just the single notes but moving up on the keyboard. So you give life, you are love, same idea here. You bring life to the dark. And same thing when you give hope, echoing, you restore. So there's lots of things you can do with that. It creates a nice fill, a change of register. Some people actually like to change their volume level, so the first time when you're playing with the singers, it's louder and then softer on the echo. So you can kind of explore those ideas, see what fits you best. Now the other chord that we're not doing anything with right now is that E chord. There's a big spot. You bring life to the darkness, and the chord just kind of sits there for a while. You bring life to... A lot of people just kind of pulse on the beat, which is always a good idea. But what can we do to make that sound interesting? You're all by yourself. You don't have a band to help fill that out with you. So what I call this next portion is a 5-finger fill. I'm thinking of the chord, which is E, and then the 5 notes that would fit underneath an E position. In this key it would be E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and B. So what I'm going to do is create a fill based off of those 5 notes. So my idea is to start on the B, the top note, and go B, A, G sharp, and then start the pattern again on A, G, F sharp, and then the pattern once more, G sharp, F sharp, E. So you bring life to the darkness. And so that gives you something that happens there instead of just absolute silence. You could try the fill another way. You could start from the bottom. You bring life. So start on that low E. Life to the darkness. There's really not a wrong answer here. As long as you're within those 5 pitches, you can arrange it however you'd like. But there is something beautiful about filling out that time because that E chord just kind of sits there a bit. Okay, so taking that first line and trying it again with those 2 ideas, the echo effect on the D chord and the F sharp minor, and then doing the 5-finger fill on the E chord. Okay, so you give life, you are love, you bring life to the darkness, you give, and it can continue on to the next line, restore every heart that. Now on heart that is broken, we have an E suspended. So I usually like to change it up a little here, and you can do an E suspended 4. So what that means is if you're on E, the 4th note above E would be A. So we're going to do E, A, and B. That would create this suspension, that tension sound. Heart that is broken. So it would just kind of resolve to that D chord is broken. Great. Okay, so on great we have an F sharp chord here. You can do more of that octave fill. Great. I went F sharp, G sharp, A, G sharp, F sharp. Great are you, Lord. Now if you want to pull a little bit of the idea from what we just did on heart that is broken, we did that E suspended. So on the last line of the verse, great are you, Lord, you could do a suspended 4 here on that same E chord. Lord. So I just resolved it, played it here, and then took it up an octave. B, A, G sharp. Okay, so that gives you several ideas of ways you can fill out the first verse instead of just plugging away at only those 3 chords. Now, it's your breath in our lungs. You can take that up to the middle register. That's where the vocalists usually go on the chorus. We're just trying to provide a little bit of interest since it's just you and a drummer at this point. So it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. So on It's Your Breath, you could do a few things like take one note of the chord. In this case, I took F sharp. It's your breath in our lungs. I took one of the notes of the chord, this time F sharp, and just kind of did a little pretty rhythm at the top there. It's your breath, da da da, in our lungs. So I took the A out of the F sharp minor. And we pour out our praise. You can do that same 5-finger fill. It's your breath in our lungs. Okay, so that line, what I did was took the first 3 notes. So the D chord, the first 3 fingers that you could play in that D chord would be D, E, F sharp. And then the F sharp minor chord, F sharp, G sharp, A. Opened up my hand to make an octave and then just walked it up. So I hit the chord, it's your breath, F sharp, G sharp, A, in our lungs, open, there's your octave. We pour out our praise. Okay, so that gives you some ideas for how to fill out those 3 chords. Now we're going to go to the verse here, so we're bringing in the A chord in the right hand, A, C sharp, E. This is the first time we've played it in this song, and then we'll move up to B minor, B, D, F sharp. For the D chord, I would suggest A, D, and F sharp, or you could do a root position, whichever you prefer, and then the E chord here as well. So we have an A chord, B minor, D chord, A, D, F sharp, and your E chord, E, or B, E, G sharp. And it always goes back to the A. The left hand, just as a note, will always stay on the note A the entire bridge, even when it clashes, so-called clashes, with the right hand. That is what is written, that's what we expect. So, all the earth will shout, that's all the A chord. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing, all the B minor over that bass A. And then great, there's my D chord. So whichever inversion you want to use, great are you. There's the E, and then it all goes back to the A. Left hand is probably the simplest you're going to see it for many a song because it just hangs out. So now we've got the chords figured out. What can we do to provide a little bit of interest? Usually it starts off rather softly in the vocals. You don't want to give everything you've got on that first time. Many teams will do like a unison on the vocals. So let's start the right hand low, kind of below that middle C range. In left hand, we're doing octave. We don't have a bass player, so we can play down in the low range here. So we're going to do all So I play the chord on the beat with all, and then I'm going to do alternating A's. Right hand A, left hand A, right hand A, left hand A. And the rhythm would go together, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right. Okay, now I'm going to put that with the words and you can hear what I'm doing. All the earth will shout your praise. Go up on hearts. So the name of the chord is B. I'll do the B alternating with the A in the left hand. Our hearts, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right. Okay, so let's try those two lines together. Back to the A chord. Together, all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. And then when we get to this line, we have more frequent chord changes. So I would just say, if you're not able to keep the rhythm up, just at least play the chords. Great are you. And then on Lord, you can go back to that rhythm. So that would be the first few times when everything is still unison in the vocals and a little quieter. We're not giving everything we've got in the climax. We're still in the building phase. So once we get past that, and let's say the singers go into parts where we've got the drummers building here on the rhythmic intensity, then you could go, all the earth will shout your praise. I'm taking that rhythm together, right, left, right, right, left, right, and playing it as one big rhythm. So all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Spread out here, great big beats. Are you? And then back to the rhythm. Ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-bum. So that's involving you in that build that's going on, not only with the vocals and the drummer, but at the keyboard. And then lastly, if you're still going on repetitions in this and you're looking for ideas, you could try, for those of you that know chord inversions, we could go, all the earth will shout your praise. You notice my left hand is still doing that rhythm. And then right hand, wherever you want to start the A chord, doing the chord inversions, which would be A, C sharp, E root, C sharp, E, A first, E, A, C sharp second inversion. So however you want to do that up and down the keyboard, that's your choice, but it gives a nice full grand sound there. So all the first inversion, second inversion, first, or root position. So root, I'm just walking up first, second, and root. Our hearts root, first, second, root, and great. I wouldn't change here. Are you? And then if you want to do inversions, first, second, and home. So that gives you 3 different ways to play that one chord progression of the bridge, and gives you a lot of interest, a lot of enjoyment, not only for yourself, but hopefully for your music team that you're playing for. All right, hope you enjoyed those ideas. Have a great time. This is Great Are You, Lord, improvisational ideas.